The following episode of the Carnival of Randomness is sponsored by an important message to you, the people, from Upsitnik and Associates. Every day there are forces that are taking from you, stealing from you. Your money, your time, your freedom. Immense faceless corporations, banks, credit card companies, insurance providers, government agencies, this list goes on and on. When you are under attack and facing crisis, turn to us, Upsitnik and Associates, attorneys for you, the people. When every day becomes a battle, we can advise and assist. We have been advocates for 40 years. Email us through upsitnikslaw.com or call us at 1-866-391-3299 or reach out to us through Upsitnik and Associates on Facebook for a prompt, no obligation communication and consultation. Don't be pushed around.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Carnival of Randomness. We're coming to you from an old abandoned 7-Eleven where I used to get the old cups of superheroes. We're using this as a hideout because we become superheroes this weekend. Because we are superheroes, we're not going to use our identities. So I am the Green Goat, and we have the Purple Crusader as our guest here. And then we have Zach, because he didn't give a fuck.
Hi. No, you know what it is? Let's just get this out of the way.
Here we go.
It's one of the classic internet memes. It's a picture of Batman. Yeah, the Green Goat. It is a picture of Batman. It said, I must protect my identity. Then it goes to Spider-Man. I hide who I am to protect the people I love. Then it goes to Iron Man. Fuck you, I'm Iron Man. He doesn't care. Yeah. And I got the red on, so yes.
Well, I don't want, like, villains coming around and, like, putting nasty stuff in my trash or putting, like, a dead rabbit in my stew or something. So I don't want to tell them who I am or anything.
Boiled rabbits.
Or anything like that, so I'm going to protect. But what I don't like sometimes about characters was what happened with Spider-Man. I don't know if they were pretty much everybody and their mother knew who Spider-Man was. It's like you go back, it's like Doctor Strange knows, all these guys know.
Right.
It's the thing with secret identities is that the only thing you can do story-wise is have people figure it out. And then once you have them figure it out, then all of a sudden everybody knows.
It's like, wow, the alien is invading. I got to go take a shit. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Wow, how come you aren't here with your...
I know, there was the suspension of disbelief back in the early days, but how the hell did they not notice that Clark Kent was Superman?
It was a simpler time, Zach.
All he did was take off his glasses.
Did you ever see the gag? There's one comic story from the 70s with it, where one of the villains, he's got a newspaper with a picture of Clark Kent, and he just draws Superman. He draws the glasses over it.
Yeah.
The first guy who ever figured that out.
Well, I actually was reading some DC origin stories, and they had one with Lana Lang. She's convinced he's Superboy, convinced. So he builds a robot to fly by. Well, the line from the Naked Gun movies. Well, so I went and I combed my hair a little different. I put some glasses on.
That was the thing they did in the Salkind movies. Was like he parts his hair on the other side. Oh, okay.
Well, they tried to make him do like with the stoop. And
yeah,
really
and they had Christopher.
But I said in the comic they said he could telescope his spine. So when he was Clark Kent, he would literally compress his spine down to 5'8", and then when he was Superman, he was the heroic all-American.
But we were mostly focusing on superhero films from whenever. So what about the Superman movies, since we mentioned them? Suck, like?
No, I like the first couple were good. What was the one that's always on the worst list? Superman: The Quest for Peace.
That is
the one with Richard Pryor in it. That is literally
a
flaming
what happened
dumpster.
with that, the story behind that is they couldn't get Christopher Reeve again. At the time, they offered him $12 million, which is peanuts these days, but they offered him. It blew the budget.
Oh, God,
They give him creative control, so they didn't have the money. So that's why you see the real grainy effects and everything.
Did he didn't direct it? Did he direct it?
I don't know if he did or not. No, he takes on Nuclear Man there. It looks like Masters of the Universe, dude.
There's another thing. If you go on YouTube, the whole design of Nuclear Man was completely different, and they filmed a ton of so he looked kind of like Frankenstein. He was very weird looking, and it looked horrible. But there's like a 10-minute sequence, huge action sequence, and you can see it on YouTube, and it's very prevised, and it looks like crap, and it has this weirdest music you've ever heard. And it just didn't work, and they reshot the whole thing.
Have you seen the recut Superman 2?
Oh yeah, the Donner cut.
Yeah. I actually like that.
I've seen the Blitzen one
very
and the
good.
Comet one as well, which are a little different.
Yeah, but the Donner, like, really?
Yeah, no, he went there.
That hurt me a little.
It's
It's Mr. Goat,
Yes, sorry.
or Green, to my friends.
Gote Verde.
Yeah.
It's summer, Zach.
Yeah.
It's summer, Rob. Zach.
Hey, shut up!
Yeah, that's it.
No, yeah, I don't know who
It's
this
too late
Rob
now.
is. He went out. He went out to get tacos.
It's been a bad brain week.
And I don't care. All right, well, let's...
But no, I like the thing was the director's cut. It was because I remember seeing it. They would come out. There was one of the most expensive movies made ever when they made the Superman movies.
Was it?
Well, yeah, there was a lot of them. They said you would believe a man.
Well,
could
yeah,
fly.
because Marlon Brando.
Well, no, it just cost a lot. Well, he cost like $5 million.
Yeah,
And Marlon Brando didn't want to actually be in it.
Yeah.
He told her. I think the story was, and this is probably wrong and very apocryphal, but he said he wanted Jor-El to be a green suitcase.
Yeah, and he wanted...
Well, he's a weird.
But I think the thing was, he was just like, I don't want to be in the film. I'll just do a voice.
Yeah, and he wanted
they're probably
shitloads of money and demanded top billing.
Yes.
Well, Russell Crowe sort of does his Obi-Wan thing in Man of Steel.
Man of Steel. Oh, well, do we want to jump all the way over to Man
Doesn't
of
mean
Steel?
Well, let's stick on Superman, and then we'll go to other
Yeah,
heroes.
well, yes, let's talk about Superman.
Let's go
Well, it's
hero
the
by
same
hero
guy.
for part one of what
They-
this is going to be.
They shot... Superman 1 and 2 were shot back-to-back.
Right.
And the Salkinds, who were the producers of the money, basically, and Richard Donner, they didn't agree about anything. He had a very solid story he wanted to tell, but they wanted to make it funny. They kept interjecting. They wanted to make it sillier. They wanted to make it sillier than it was originally.
Well, I got a question. Did Richard Donner say this at a party? Donner
Yes.
party?
And
Donner party?
the
Come
menu
on!
was the menu at the party was
Long Pig.
Yes, it was delicious.
If you don't know what Long Pig is,
Look it up.
it's us.
Yep.
Soylent Green is people.
It's people.
Like, they have one. Soylent
I didn't
Cola.
know this.
Oh,
I
is
did
it?
not
It
know
varies
that.
from person
The one
to
thing
person.
I will say, though, I think Margot Kidder made a very good Lois Lane.
I agree.
Yes.
I would agree with that.
Yes, she was really good, and she grounded, I think, that movie, and I think she gave it kind of,
She
The-
gave it that
the other one,
realistic
what I heard,
touch
too, was
that kept
Gene
it-
Hackman was sort of embarrassed to be in a comic book movie.
yeah, I
And
have
he
no
didn't
doubt.
really sort of, that's why they only have him like with the bald at the end.
Yeah, I think he didn't. I think he didn't want to be.
Because remember one of his many hokey origin stories, Lex Luthor had a bone to pick with Superman because he lost his hair saving his life in a
Yeah,
chemical
that was
fire.
the reason why Lex
You were
Luthor...
rich, dude. Could you get a wig, or could you just devote
Well, he
your
originally
time?
wasn't he. He was originally a scientist.
Yeah.
that was his thing.
And he
then
helped-
they made him rich later.
Yeah, he turned into sort of a kingpin type guy with John Byrne renovation.
But now
Yes.
think of this. Who was truly the villain in the Superman movies? Lex Luthor wanted to create a peaceful worldwide utopia, and Superman kept fucking that up. Who was the true villain?
Well, when you look at people who want to create peaceful worldwide utopias,
To
it's
be
usually about the way you get there.
So you can't make an omelet without breaking some
Without
eggs.
so then we
Without
putting,
blowing up.
so then
putting
we have
California
two-
into the ocean.
and
Yeah,
every
they deserve
lest
it.
we forget Superman versus the Mole Man, the debut from the George Reeves thing, which is
I
sort of
really
cool.
want to forget that, though. I really do.
Well, it's fun watching those to see when George Reeves was tanked too, because you could see it sometimes. Because I
yeah,
guess
those
he
old
would go.
serials
Now
from the
everybody
40s
said
and 50s,
everybody
yeah,
said he was very nice,
Yeah.
very nice, but he would go on lunch breaks and he would come back a little worse for wear.
It's a sad
That's
story.
at 9
It's
martini lunch.
And what I get a kick out of too, it's like in terms of the '50s, repressive, goody like Jimmy Olsen. And
Yeah.
two of the cast members, like Jack Larson, was gay, so was Noel Neal, and I get a kick out of it. Oh, it's Mr. All American. Oh, haha.
Right? Nobody knew back then.
No, he just passed away about a year ago. I guess his partner passed away about months ago.
Aw.
Looked the same with his little haircut and everything.
Yeah.
But so we start going downhill with Superman 3.
Yeah, Superman 3 started going downhill.
The
Superman
Richard
4 was...
Pryor thing, which they said was very good that Eddie Murphy was not in Star Trek Voyage Home, because they call it the Richard Pryor effect, where the joke used to be get Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
But you don't interject a star who has no point in...
Well, also, yeah, and it's also it's like the thing that Superman needed wasn't a
comic relief.
comic superstar to be in it. It didn't
remember
need
at the
that.
end,
It
he's like-
just needed a yeah.
It wasn't necessary.
And he tried. Richard Pryor at his worst is still funny.
Oh, I like him.
know.
Yeah, Richard Pryor at his
Just
worst
not
is still
that
one of the
movie.
funniest
When
human
he's-
beings in the world.
When he's trying to make the kryptonite and uses tar because he smokes, and it's just like there's a lot of and I they were going for funny. They got a lot of funny.
It's too
but
bad they
it
just
is-
didn't do
Well,
a
was it
parody
intentional
movie.
funny?
It's too bad.
not always.
It's too bad they didn't have him they just didn't do a movie with him trying to be pretending you think he's a dude, he's a superhero or something.
There was a lot of people wasted in that movie. Annette O'Toole,
Lana, yeah,
Oh, God, I forgot you.
Robert Vaughn,
yeah,
was the bad guy.
yeah, because it was Red
Robert
Kryptonite.
Vaughn.
Which
Yeah.
was,
Yeah, that was about the red kryptonite, which is another thing. If you had you could have had a decent story with the red kryptonite turning Superman. That would have been a great
Yeah.
story to make
well, then now
Superman
there's
the
all
villain of the
these
Superman.
times. There's like blue kryptonite, white.
Well, yeah, blue kryptonite. Okay, do we remember what? Do you
There's-
remember what is blue kryptonite?
Oh
Took
no,
his
some
powers away?
power loss. I think permanent power loss.
Red made him evil.
Yeah.
Gold kryptonite did
Yep.
something.
Yep.
It was
That's my question.
White.
How is it that, his home planet explodes,
right.
and that's where kryptonite comes from?
Yes.
How is there so much of it? The planet has exploded. Why is there like hundreds and thousands of
There's
tons
as much
of
as the
this?
plot needs.
Well, that one band had a pocket full of kryptonite for its album.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
But the one problem I've always had with Superman, and John Ostrander, who's a writer I like a lot, when he wrote The Spectre, he said, okay, you take a character who's basically could take on God, and it might be a draw. And he had him fighting the angel Gabriel, whacking each other with planets. You have that Deus Ex Machina problem with Superman.
Yeah.
Because there's so many, so that's why you need the outs like the kryptonite, or how many storylines where he loses his power.
Oh, yeah,
Because
yeah.
otherwise you got a dude that's like, I'm robbing a bank.
Well, exactly. And
there
how
was the other-
how are we as fans supposed to get behind somebody that you know is in no danger?
That's the other thing about Superman. And he had one other thing. Magic.
Oh yeah, magic.
Superman couldn't
Yeah.
hurt with magic.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden it's like, haha, I have a freeze ray. I have laser eyes. Oh, well, this building's on fire. I have freeze breath.
Well,
Really?
there's
yeah,
the other
he
one where
would-
they
yeah.
say like Captain Marvel, Shazam, because he's magic powered.
Yes.
That he's probably
Yeah.
the only thing that beat Captain Marvel and Shazam was DC because they got disgusted because they were selling so much more comics in the 50s that they did a lawsuit against the Big Red Cheese there.
Yeah.
But he could probably beat Superman because his powers come from magic.
Come from magic, yeah. Yep.
I just
I'm sure was
Well, what's everybody thinks we're still on the
yeah.
Superman Returns?
Superman Returns was
Bizarre because it was a sequel actually to those movies.
once again they had a lot of the big problem was Bryan Singer was too in love with the Salkind movies. He wanted to make a direct sequel to movies that were 30 years old and no one cared about.
right. And
And
wasn't he also too in love with like harassing women?
Oh, not women.
Oh, that's right.
Harassing, yeah. But one of the things too is,
he's been canceled.
and this one gets me where okay, they have a son because of everything. No,
Yes.
this would be like it's Carl Sagan one time. We can mate with an ear of corn because at least we're from the same planet.
Yeah, this.
Who is? Oh, speaking of like sickos in that movie too, Luther in the movie.
Well, he was
exactly-
Kevin Spacey, and and it was. I was very excited because this is.
Oh, I saw it.
Yeah, I saw
I
it.
watched
Yeah,
it.
I was very excited to see Kevin Spacey's take on Lex Luthor, and he did nothing. He just had that. He yelled in.
He yelled and was
in
bald.
Lois Lane's face.
Well, then
and he
there's
was bald.
Jesse
And that was it.
Eisenberg's left.
That
Luthor.
that movie should never have been made. I don't care what anybody thinks.
No,
that movie is an abomination and should be killed.
If you weren't gonna do a new Superman, a complete reboot, which I hate that word, but that's what it is. If they weren't gonna do that, then there was no point in doing it. Nobody asked for, needed, or wanted a sequel to those movies.
No. And how about the epic crossover dumpster fire Batman v Superman? What
well,
a
Man of
pile
Steel
of
though.
shit.
Let's
Man
go
of
to
Steel,
Man of
go to
Steel.
Oh,
Man
Man
of
of
Steel.
Steel. What a pile of shit.
I
I think Henry Cavill was good as a role.
Yes.
I liked it for I knew when I say I've noticed I say that I like a lot of stuff, but I should really just preface that with saying I expected nothing, and I liked a lot of stuff that
I think
thought
Krypton was
their take
done
of
well.
Krypton was interesting, even though after a while you were like, okay, it was all based on that thing from Spencer's Gifts where you put your hand in the pins, and all their technology was based on. After a while, it's kind of silly.
But actually, with the no expectations thing, when we switch to a certain hero, I actually do have something for that.
But then
I'm not gonna leave
I
it
know
at
my
that.
friend Mike said, I've been waiting for this my whole life, Batman and Superman. And
That's
Yeah,
the thing.
keep
Everybody
waiting.
was waiting
has
for it.
anybody
and
seen I've heard the extended cuts better.
I've heard that too. I haven't seen it. At some point, I probably will sit down and watch it because it's probably like 3 hours long.
Yeah, because they say it really explains more why the dislike between the two.
But here's my thing: if the extended cut is better, why the
explained
fuck
that just
didn't they
fine.
just release that?
Because studios.
His
and it's
mom's
long.
name is
Because
Martha.
money. Because money.
Because studio. It's like Iron Man Avengers Endgame could be 3 hours long, but not Iron Man, because that was the first one. That had to be tight.
But remember, one of the great lost films, of
even
course, in
that,
terms
they
of
made a big deal of
Superman, was of course the Tim Burton, Nicolas Cage Superman.
Oh my God, that would have a loss to the world, and what would probably have been a hilarious movie.
Well, there's a story that goes that John Peters, Kevin Smith was writing.
Oh, yeah,
part of it.
Kevin Smith has
And
told this story
John
many times.
Peters is what you have to have a giant spider. Why people? But I guess there's scripts out there for it. And if you give Kevin Smith one, he'll sign it. Fuck Tim Burton.
Yeah. John Peters has this thing about giant spiders. He has this thing about giant spiders, which is why Wild Wild West. Why had a giant spider at the end of it?
You leave
they
Arliss
didn't do
Loveless
that.
out of
Let's go to Batman for a minute. Speaking of that, though, because one of the things about Tim Burton is, I guess, he really was like a comic snob. He's like, I don't read comics. I don't.
Oh yeah. You only directed. You only made the first 2 Batman movies. Come on, read comics.
But I guess
Tim Burton is. Tim Burton is astoundingly overrated.
Oh God, yeah.
He's done some very good movies. He's
What
done
about
a lot of
visuals,
turds.
though? You like the visuals?
The visuals are fine, but it's not. They're always the same. Like he has a visual
Like
style.
that macabre, comical type thing. The Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Danny Elfman originally loved to stuff. Then after a while, it's like, oh, it's the same thing over and
And you know, one of the stories about the development of the Batman film, it was going to be around 19. It was going to be a musical comedy with Bill Murray at one point.
Oh yeah.
But the Michael Keaton thing, I guess, when he came in, he thought he was auditioning for the Joker.
Yeah, I'd heard that.
I think he would have been a good Joker too.
He would have been. He could have. He is a astoundingly talented actor. And
but
I think we've
I
seen.
think the
what he
best
can do.
line he did that was when he smashes the vase with the poker. You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts. That's a Joker line.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
And
not
he's
a
got
Bruce
that
Wayne
face
line.
for it, too, and everything, sort of.
Yeah, because I mean, he was coming off Beetlejuice,
Yeah.
so you knew that he could play that.
And he just came
Off
off
the
of
wall
Pacific
acting.
Heights, too, where people were looking at...
Yeah, because he was playing the
Psychopath
creeper, psycho
and
in that
everything.
one.
I mean,
yeah.
he's a talented actor, and I was
If you're
so
good at
happy to
comedy-
see
if
him.
you're really good at comedy, you're probably also really good at drama too.
And I was
Not
so
everybody,
happy to
but
see
one.
him in Birdman. What was it?
Birdman.
Birdman, and that was a great movie, and he did a phenomenal job in
It
it.
was and the whole trope of the movie being all one continuous
Beautiful.
scene. Even though if you know about films, you can see where the cuts are made because they have to. But even that. If you don't know about that stuff, it's cool. But if you know about that stuff, it's even cooler because the way they did the cuts is so we wanted to make sure people who know how the sausage is made could still find this entertaining.
Yep.
We're like, oh, that's cool. They go there, they do that,
But then he turns around, he's the Vulture in Spider-Man,
Yes,
so
he
he does
is.
get to play his villain. And he could be nasty, too.
Yeah, he can.
Excellent.
He
I like
can be
Kid.
a bad man.
He could be really nasty. I mean, that's the thing. He could just
I remember
pull that one
it
off.
wasn't long after Batman came out. I was at a Pirates game in Pittsburgh. You know, he's from Pittsburgh. They zoom in on him on the box, play the Batman theme. He gets up, just starts waving.
Yeah.
It's like everybody loves Michael Keaton. If you don't, you're a dick.
Yeah, he's a.
And I guess it would have gone differently because I guess they were going to have Jack Nicholson come back for the second one, but he
Yeah.
didn't want to come back, so they had to change it all around.
And it wasn't too bad.
And here's
when
a
they did
thought,
that.
actually. Gail Simone, who's a friend, she's a Gail Simone, but she was saying she didn't have a long time to write him, but she said, why don't they do more with Bane? Because if you look at it, he's really Batman's equal.
I was born in the darkness.
Bane has not been done right in every medium they've tried to put him in other
Well,
than
Chuck
comics.
Dixon said that what he basically
cartoon wasn't awful.
what he wanted to do with him
I don't
is
think that's that might not.
he wanted to do with him. He sort of made him an evil version of Doc Savage at first because he had all the
Yeah.
minions, but he's never really been done right except maybe in Batman and Robin.
He's also
yeah,
one of the only anonymous Batman villains who I don't think they've
never released who he
Unless
was.
you read
who
the
he was.
comic
Yeah.
Vengeance of Bane years ago.
Oh, is it? Yeah, okay.
They do have an
They
origin
do have an
comic
or-
about
they
him.
do have
where
an
they
origin,
show-
but they never really give
But
him
they
a
never-
name.
yeah.
He's just a guy.
Yeah,
and
but
he's,
interestingly, the Batman and Robin thing, he was played by former strongman and professional wrestler, the late Jeep Swenson. But the problem is they had him as a mute, or as just a mindless brute.
Batman
Robin.
and Robin.
Yeah, he was a
I
mindless
put that
brute.
down as maybe
Yeah,
the
they
worst
made him-
Whereas in
comic
the
book
comics,
film ever.
whereas in the comics, he was a genius, like a polyglot. He was one of the smartest beings on the planet.
Oh yeah, yeah. He had he made himself.
Because in the
powerful.
original origin story in the comic, what happens is his mom goes to jail.
I thought
Some
it was
trumped
his.
up star-
I thought it was his. Or, one of his parents
And
when
if
he
you
went
give
to jail
birth,
with him.
you're a prisoner.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
So
was
grows
born
up-
in the prison.
So then they
Yeah.
experiment on him with venom.
and he had
Yeah.
that, and he
Okay,
had the.
yeah.
It wasn't like
the
where he
teddy
was
bear
like-
with the knife in it, and he would murder. He murdered like his first prisoner at the age of like.
But
7
they've
or
really
something.
misused him and everything.
They did.
And I still think in Dark Knight Rises, he sounded like Sean Connery meets Marvin the Martian a little bit.
No, he sounded like a mixture of that mixed with Jar Jar Binks. Misa was born in the darkness. Like, I'm sorry, I like Tom Hardy. I'm a fan of Tom Hardy,
Yeah.
but good God, fuck
It was
that role.
it was funny. It was unintentionally funny.
But what'd you think of the Bale Batmans?
Of the Christian Bale Batmans. They're the controversial statement I just with. They're not as good as everybody thinks they are, but I
Suck.
liked them.
Suck.
I'm gonna go out and say something for the Dark Knight. That was basically when I saw that, I pictured that it's like a James Bond movie with superpowers. Because could you see the crazy terrorists and Bond going all over?
Oh, absolutely.
They're like Christopher Nolan is an amazing filmmaker. They look great. He wanted to put Batman
Little realism,
in a real world, which is admirable. And Heath Ledger's performance,
Very good.
hands down.
I mean, very amazing.
Is great. You can't take that away from him. And what happened was very unfortunate.
No doubt.
One, you have that cynical, like, would it have been, if he hadn't passed, would it have been as lauded? I would say this. I would say it would have been as lauded by people who
Right.
are discerning,
that's
but
what-
not as lauded by everyone.
That's
He might
my
not have
thought.
gotten an award.
He wouldn't have gotten the Academy Award if he had not.
I don't
passed.
think so. I definitely
But
think.
could
it
I
was
see? Could I see the argument for it? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But I think, honestly, and it's still a tragedy because I enjoyed him, not just in that movie, but pretty much in everything I ever saw him in. He was very good.
And when you go that young, you think of what he
Could have done.
First of all, he would have played the Joker again in the third one.
Like, he could have
was
been the
gonna come
next
back.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
But yeah, he would have gone on to, from that, he would have been able to springboard onto so much huge stuff.
That's the thing. But I'm one of the only people. I don't think Ben Affleck was bad as Batman.
I didn't mind. He
He's
wasn't
sort
the
of
problem.
a douche. He's sort of old,
Yeah,
cynical.
he was fine. He was old jaded Bruce Wayne.
And
I
I
thought
love
he did that fine.
To me, the line
Scripts
comes
are
from
horrible.
Jeremy Irons, where he talks to Jeremy Irons. 20 years in Gotham. Have we done any different? Has it gotten better?
Yeah. No, it's like I can't like those Zack Snyder movies. The casting, for the most part, except for some huge glaring exceptions, is great. You couldn't get it's just like it always
wonder
comes
what
down
he's
to
referring
writing. And Jesse Eisenberg was playing a just fine Joker, but unfortunately he was Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
That was a problem. And because it's also once again goes back to Zack Snyder's ignorance of the material, which he has gone and has said he doesn't give a shit about.
Yeah.
Oh, clearly.
And I'm just like,
Look at the pile he steamed out.
Well, now, before we move on to the other universe, but they're certainly revising DC a lot. Now they've had a couple of hits with Shazam and Aquaman. And I guess now Robert Pattinson is Batman.
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't know.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
my view on that is give him a chance, because every time we bitch about everything, let's see how he does.
See him in other stuff. He's a very good actor. He's a
The
very
one with
solid
Christina
good
Ricci
actor.
and everything. it's like a sort of an older period piece.
Yes, yeah, and
I can't remember the name, but that one he's pretty good in.
But like his Cedric Diggory in that Harry Potter movie, he was great. Like,
oh shit, that's right, he was in that.
He was.
I completely forgot.
He was Cedric, the guy who dies.
But I'm always open to that because whenever you hear casting, it's like Doctor Who. Oh, that Doctor Who's the best. This one's gonna suck. Wow, I love this one. This one's gonna suck.
Cast a woman? Why not?
Let's flash back to the days before the first Iron Man movie came out.
Yes.
And they said Robert Downey Jr. is going to be Tony Stark, and I'm like, I don't know. And then he proved everybody wrong.
I was on board because there was talk for years and years and years before that. They were trying to shop this Iron Man movie with Tom Cruise. And I can't. I think it was David Hayter was the scriptwriter, and they were shopping the script for years, and they couldn't. Nobody who's going to make a movie about Iron Man? Who gives a shit about Iron Man?
Yeah.
And then when they moved forward,
now.
and when they announced Robert Downey Jr., I was like, perfect.
He's an incredible actor,
great actor. He looks like Tony Stark, and he has the background and the baggage of a man who has. Like Tony Stark is troubled. Whether you make him an alcoholic or not, he
had the big thing with the alcohol issue and everything.
And he has, he's.
But at the time, I was like, I knew he would do well. I just didn't know he would do that well.
That well, yeah.
That he would.
He had also been kind of gone for a while.
Yeah, exactly. That he would essentially become who we think.
I think
with
just
Iron
before
Man.
I saw that,
and it was hard for them because he was uninsurable for a long time.
Yes, he was.
The movie I saw before that was when he was in Zodiac.
Yeah,
and he was in Fur.
Yeah,
and I mean, I've always thought he's a very good actor. Chaplin, everything else, and he just had his personal demons, and he just sort of went away for a bit. But
by the time he came back, he had been clean for like a decade.
And I think something else comes out of that
he's
too,
a junkie.
where some people complain. Oh, I'm typecast. Well, he was very thankful of that role.
Oh my god!
Oh
yeah, yeah.
I would be.
Yes.
I wouldn't give a damn if I was playing the worst character ever.
But I think that's one of the
being Tony Stark, and now he wants to be Tony Stark for real.
But that's one of the keys too, where they give you. It's like, look, this movie's going to cost $100 million. We have the effects. Let's hope the script's right. If you get the right actor or actress,
yes,
No,
they prefer to be called actor now. By the way,
I just use whatever I use. I say actor too, but
it's just like casting, script. You have those two things. You're in good shape. And that's the DCEU or whatever they called it. They banked everything on a guy who didn't care about the source material and made movies that if you see his great feminist over a sucker punch, everything
I've seen
you need to know about.
What a pile of shit!
Oh my god. And what an exploitative bunch of nonsense too. It's just like, it's a feminist, or it's like, why do they have to look like that?
Yeah, exactly. You can have
why do you have to make them giant fuck dolls who fight people? It's just like, come on, dude.
You can have a feminist.
Well, what'd you think of Wonder Woman?
I fucking loved it.
Wonder Woman was amazing. And Wonder Woman.
See, he says it the best. He says it's a good movie.
I think
it's a good movie.
Remove Wonder Woman and Ares, it's still a good movie. It's a good action movie.
Yes, even if it's not, if it's a story of Diana, the Amazon, who comes to World War I and gets brought,
exactly.
just like,
she doesn't have to be Wonder Woman. It was still a good movie. Yeah. Gal Gadot, amazing. And unlike other people that have played Wonder Woman, she could beat our asses.
Yes.
Because Gal Gadot, for those of you who don't know, was a combat instructor for the Israeli Defense Force.
Yep.
Regarded highly as one of the most dangerous forces on the face of the earth. And I admit, I've always liked Green Lantern, so I hope they finally do him justice.
They want to. They want to. I have not seen the Green Lantern movie.
Good.
I did not see it.
Good. Don't.
And it's not for I've never because it's never any streaming platform I've seen has never had it for free, and if I was going to watch it, I would not want to pay a dime for it.
If you want to see,
Reynolds could have worked it if he was Kyle Rayner instead, because he's got that Starky.
No, if you want to see the only part of Green Lantern you need to see, watch the end of Deadpool 2 when he shoots Green Lantern in the face.
But let's go to...
it's over!
I will say, I was thinking of seeing Rise of Phoenix, seeing the reviews and see it blows.
I haven't had time to see it, and...
no desire.
I'm going to because I've.
What do you think of the X films then? Let's go to Marvel now.
All right, let's talk about the X-Men. The first X-Men, because there was no real standard at that point.
Blade. That's what got it.
Blade.
Because Blade was a success. That's why they started doing them.
I liked Blade. I liked the first Blade. I liked Blade 2.
What about Blade Trinity?
Blade Trinity, man, they tried real hard. It should have been good. It had the pieces to be good.
Well,
it
sometimes
had a cool
Wesley...
villain. It had some interesting...
Triple H.
Triple H
That's
was...
right, Triple H.
Triple H and his little dog.
Wormwood.
And you had Dracula, and it was no fault of... Oh, I'm blanking on the guy's name, Dominic Purcell. It's no fault on him.
No.
He's very good in a lot of stuff I've seen.
It's just he doesn't get cast in the right roles. But he's good.
They wasted Dracula. They had Dracula and they wasted
And then
him.
I guess Wesley Snipes said, man, that role was taxing on me.
Well,
that's why he took 3 years off, right?
Well, and Wesley Snipes and David Goyer were at each other's throats.
And I guess,
so they mostly wrote him out of the movie.
And I guess there were rumors,
too, Jessica Biel.
where he was going to play Black Panther for a long time. That was a rumor.
Yes. Yeah. But they brought in other people to be the heroes of the Blade movie, which is a problem.
Well, it seemed like in his movies he'd fight vampires, then they'd get him and he'd be in a real snit for a while. Like they'd get him, he'd be in real trouble, then he'd get away. And Chris Christopherson managed to come back from the dead. Like
I know, I could not believe it. Like, holy shit, it's Chris Christopherson.
Was that the one Norman Reedus? Was Norman Reedus in Trinity?
I haven't seen these in a long time.
Because he was the guy they brought in to replace Whistler, but he wound up being he wound up betraying him.
Yeah, I think that was the third one. I own the trilogy. I don't know why I haven't watched it more.
X-Men. X-Men. The first X-Men had some issues, but it was largely they cut out stuff.
Unless we not forget, when those first X-Men movies came out, Marvel didn't own them.
It was 20th Century Fox.
And it could have been Doug Ray Scott as Wolverine, if not for Mission Impossible.
Yes, which he should have done that instead of Mission Impossible.
Well, I saw him in a sci-fi movie.
Well, let's look at some of the problems of the...
Well, I'll give you one right now. 1992 Rise of Phoenix, Michael Fassbinder. What do you do to become Ian McKellen in 2002?
Right. Well, let's start in the first one. Yes. Start in the first one.
All right, the first one. First off, in the one scene, Colossus was American.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Call me nitpicky if you want, but swing and a miss.
Well, then the other thing is they'd introduce big characters in the background.
Yeah, and
then they'd bring them back in later movies as completely different characters, essentially with the same name.
Yeah.
Because they were doing the X-Men. We want to show people that we can only feature 4 or 5 characters, but we want to show people all the characters in the back and hold them back.
Yeah,
don't let them later.
Rogue, total pile.
Well, the one thing with her was she didn't absorb Carol Danvers' powers yet, so she wasn't all super-y.
Yeah, but she was still too emo to be Rogue.
Yeah, Rogue in the comics was sassy.
Yeah, she was the sassy Southern Belle.
And then Annette Paquin, who did a fine job, but it was just so it was just very, very angsty and well because she was Rogue and Kitty Pryde. Basically, she filled both of those.
Exactly.
Being
the angsty
Wolverine's buddy. Wolverine's
Well, one of the lines I still remember is it you? You're Dick.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and Hugh Jackman, what a find, Yeah. What a find.
Personal things about him aside, he did good in that role.
He was fantastic.
Well, I think Logan actually is very. I liked it.
I love Logan.
I loved it. I actually really
was a good movie.
Now, like Liz told me, like she said that I really did. I said, yeah. Well, it's unfortunate. I mean, it's sad, especially personal stuff with my dad seeing Professor X like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, unfortunately, look at Logan. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a happy ending for him.
No,
I just didn't care for that movie.
What didn't you like about it? It's got a very different tone.
I think that's what it is.
But it's a little Mad Maxy in a way.
A little, but at the same time, it's like you go to see a movie about it. You don't want to see like them getting old and dying.
Well, that's the way he's going to go.
Everybody knows it happened. Everybody knows it's going to happen. But why make a movie out of it? Because it's just going to depress the shit out of people.
That's the character, though, I think. And in a way, the X-Men, they've all been wiped out by something. Yeah. And this is pretty much the last thing. And I just think it was in terms of movies, I think it was well done.
Yeah.
And mind you, why was it called Logan and not James?
Because that's his
because
Lest we not forget, his name is not Logan.
Yeah, but Logan is the name. Logan is the name that he has most identified with over the years.
And he's Canadian.
And I've never been a fan of the Wolverine origin story.
Well, you know what it was? They had to finally make it up for him and everything.
Yeah, but it's just like it wasn't Wolverine. He wasn't like, how does he go from being this to James Howlett, this little kid, just like, and to friggin' Wolverine. Well, if in order to build a character you have to wipe his memory 9 times, that's just shitty storytelling.
My thoughts on it is with the whole you don't want to see him before. It would be like akin to filming the last 3 years of Muhammad Ali's life.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, that I had a problem with that.
But if Muhammad Ali had to fight a doppelganger of Cassius Clay, that would be kind of interesting to see.
But they never had. They never got X-Men right, I don't think. And I liked X2.
I think they made some very good casting decisions. Very good casting decisions. Obviously, Sir Patrick and Sir Ian, tailor-made for those
without
roles.
a doubt.
Kelsey Grammer throwing his voice for Beast.
Yeah,
I'm all about that. He had the voice for it.
Yeah,
and the intelligence
what I want to see is I want to see the original X-Men. The original, just the core. The original team: Beast, Angel, Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Bobby Drake, and Professor X. From just them. And then,
they butchered
find other mutants as the way.
Oh, they butchered. Here's
I was so excited. Got Oscar Isaac. I was like,
it.
I love Oscar Isaac, and I'm just like, oh, that's great. That's a cool. He'll be really good. I'm like, It's another one. I wanted to like it so much that I talked myself into kind of liking it, and then the more I look back, I watch it again. I'm like, oh, this is awful.
Who was the actor that played Cyclops in
James Marsden's played him in one.
James Marsden was in the original trilogy. Then I don't know the original trilogy.
Because here's my thoughts on why that was a perfect pick. Cyclops is a dick.
Cyclops is
and
Cyclops is unlikable.
He played the dick to a T. So that was a great cast. And I'm not saying anything bad about him because he did a fine job in it, but Cyclops as a character is a dick.
But James Marsden is another actor. It's just like he's a comedic actor, first of all. Yeah.
But
that's where he shines.
But what about Deadpool? Now he loves Colossus in the Juggernaut.
Yeah. That, and I said it after the first Deadpool came out when they unleashed the new CGI process for Colossus. That is what good CGI can be.
Yes.
And they knocked Colossus out of the park. They knocked the Juggernaut out of the park. That fight between the two of them at the end of Deadpool 2, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because as much as I love Vinnie Jones, that was just
And I was like, I didn't realize, I had to go back and see that it was Ryan Reynolds because I couldn't really tell.
Oh, the Juggernaut?
But the Juggernaut was Ryan Reynolds as well.
Was he I thought it was, he did the voice.
He did the voice.
But the director was the face capture. Or
Probably,
was it Ryan Reynolds?
I don't think it was Ryan Reynolds was the face. You didn't see much of his face.
But he was the voice.
He was definitely. And when I watched it again, I heard it. I was like, okay, I hear it now.
I'm gonna melt you down and make you into a cock ring.
Yeah,
like
it's the fucking Juggernaut. You just like, and
dude,
it's like,
I love you. Oh wait, my hero is running at me, really angry at a high rate of speed. Smash.
Yeah.
That's what
That's the Juggernaut.
A 9-foot tall, unstoppable monster.
Yes.
Period.
Yep.
See, that's good though. And I wonder now when Disney gets these guys, what they're going to redo them.
It'll be a decade. It'll be at least a decade before you see them again.
Yeah. They do. Well,
yeah, they've said 5. Well, they said 5 to 10 years.
But don't they have to do it every couple of years just to keep the rights renewed?
They probably just bought them.
That's why they just shit out comic movies left and right.
Fox owns the rights, and they have stuff. Fox has a movie or two in the pocket they've already shot, like New Mutants they've shot.
Yeah, which looks like a horror film.
It's a horror movie. They made New Mutants a horror movie, which I think is a cool idea.
That's a cool idea.
It's the all the young New Mutants are in this lockdown in this facility, and there's something and the whole place has been shut down, and there's something killing them, and they have to either get out or figure out what it is.
Oh, that's
they made it a survival horror
cool.
movie, but it's locked down in where they put it. They were talking about putting it on Netflix, and they were talking, just like.
Well, when you have Inhumans where they pulled before it was on.
The thing, they screened the first 2 episodes as a as like a.
Oh no, they did the whole thing. I mean, they showed the whole miniseries. They finished.
Oh
it.
no, I mean the theater debut. They did the first 2 episodes, and then they canceled the show before it even hit TV.
No, it aired. The whole thing aired.
Yeah, no, but I mean, they said they weren't going to do any more.
Oh, they were. Yeah, they said
that was it.
No, it's a limited series. It was always going to be a limited. It's not always going to be a limited.
I'm going to go back to. I think if I recall, you really like Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I like Doctor Strange a lot.
Ooh, I'm moving my hands. I'm in Doctor Strange. Nope.
I liked it. See,
the only good Doctor Strange was Hugo Strange.
Well, if you don't like the character.
No, I don't mind Doctor. I just, the more I thought about it, it's like, that's kind of weak power. Just, ooh.
Well, he's got the magic.
You can do anything.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
Doctor Strange can replicate any power in the comics. In the movies.
In the movies, they kind of.
I think he's going to become the new linchpin of the universe now with Iron Man gone.
I think he's going to have to be because he's going to have to be.
Yeah.
Thing out of all the things,
that's the other thing too. He's not like at the end of the first Doctor Strange movie. He's not the Sorcerer Supreme. No. He's still not the Sorcerer Supreme.
That is a fair point.
And my question is, he does not have the Eye of Agamotto anymore because it was an Infinity Stone. So what does he get? It's like, how can he not have that?
Maybe it's back
iconic
now.
Thing.
It's maybe
be
back.
Yeah.
But one of the things about that, though, I admit, out of the scenes in that movie, I love when he's popping in the library and Wong's sitting there.
Yeah.
Wong was
funny.
Wong
is the best part of those movies.
Oh my God, he was hilarious.
He's so great. They take Wong from being the stereotypical step and fetch it Asian manservant into I'm smarter than you, I'm older than you.
Right.
Let me tell you how things are.
And they don't have Cleo there yet either.
No, she's going to be coming.
There's going to be
there's a sequel's in the works. Peyton Reed is directing it.
Is Mordo going to be in it or
not? Peyton Reed.
Yeah.
Scott Decker.
Yeah. And I will say that you are absolutely right because he hasn't developed into Doctor Strange. That there is a lot of room for upward mobility.
But having a big hand in saving the universe is probably going to up him.
Yeah,
a little bit. But also, I think in terms of casting Chris Hemsworth.
Greatest actor known to man.
He is phenomenal.
Greatest actor known to man. And
I wonder if he's going to be in the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie now.
I think so. I don't know. It depends because it all depends if was he in James Gunn's script or not.
Yeah, because Chris Evans is gone now, and so is Robert Downey.
But he's Chris Hemsworth is hanging around. He's not leaving.
Good, because he is great in everything he does.
He drank. He fought. We made our ancestors proud.
He's great.
And Tom Hiddleston reunited because I got sick of Loki in the comics.
Loki was always he was one of those villains that was always like I can just it's like what happens now? I don't know. It could just be Loki. Yeah, anytime they wrote in a corner if something didn't make sense,
he was just the default excuse for everything.
He was
we can't explain
Kang
that.
The Conqueror was the other one.
Yeah.
It was Kang the Conqueror the whole time because he has a million different versions of himself.
But that's the thing we'll go into now for really the Avengers. When this came together, this was really no other thing had ever had the plan like Marvel had.
When they said that they were like, this movie's going to come out in 2009 and this is going to come out in 2010.
Well, that's the thing.
And we were like, that's never going to happen.
That's the thing.
No
we were all doubting it, and then they did it. It's like, all right.
It was
showed us.
They had to bring it every single time, and I think the core they have, building that around is casting the best actors, but not necessarily the biggest names.
Right.
They weren't going after huge names. They were going after very good actors. Yeah. And if you go across the entire MCU, even in small parts, like Rachel McAdams. Like, you have Oscar nominees and Oscar winners in cameos, basically.
Right.
You had Glenn Close in Guardians of the Galaxy. And you'll forget, Steve, you'll forget Glenn Close was in the movie.
Kate Blanchett in
Thor. Who
was incredible.
She was awesome in that. I love her.
You have these people pop up. Robert Redford, for crying out loud.
Well, Ragnarok to me was the perfect mix of that. Ragnarok was the mix of fun and good story. Too. I love that movie.
Possibly my favorite Marvel movie.
That's one of the best. I did not like Age of Ultron that much, though. I admit
Age of Ultron had problems.
And the weird thing is, I predicted it too.
But I wasn't.
I was saying after the first Marvel movie,
they needed to get to Civil War thing.
But I was thinking, where's Ultron? Because he's a big villain. There he is, and unfortunately, he just wasn't that good.
Who was the voice of
James Spader? James Spader, which was was fine. I liked the kind of smarmy Ultron
because I don't mind that.
If Tony Stark made Ultron, like Ultron, we know is Hank Pym. If Hank Pym made Ultron, then Ultron is the very logical. I'm a big robot. I am better than you. But if Tony Stark made Ultron, he's going to be a smarmy douche.
Yeah.
So it was perfect.
That's fine.
And the thing about that, Hank Pym sort of just got marginalized in this universe as Ant-Man. He was such a big cog, but now he's the older guy.
But they've given themselves the ability to, in other mediums, go back in time. Yeah. And now they've proven with Captain Marvel that they can DH people for an entire movie and make it work.
Well, I like that. I like it in Endgame when they go back to the 70s. Like, who's that guy with the hair? Like, hey, wait a second, that funny-looking hippie guy.
Got the hippie beard.
But did you see Captain Marvel?
Me?
Did you see it?
No.
Because I didn't see it yet.
No.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No.
They de-aged Samuel Jackson and Clark Gregg throughout that whole movie. Samuel Jackson especially, throughout that whole movie. If you did not know, you would not be able to tell.
Well, caveat, by the time as we record this, we haven't seen it.
I'm going to see it.
By the time it airs, we may.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I know people is critical of it as they had to introduce a Deus Machina for Endgame, so she was they didn't feel she was given the due as her own character, but I think Brie Larson was amazing. There's a twist, and I don't want to give any.
I know what it is.
The twist with the Skrulls.
Yeah. Actually, that's
which I thought was really cool. I was like, oh, okay, because the Skrulls are the classic
and I was
guys, but making them sympathetic was. It was like every once in a while they like to throw curveballs at the comic readers,
right?
Because that's the thing. People are like, well, why don't they just adapt them directly? It's like because
it'll be stupid.
You want 60% of your audience already knowing the story,
right? Exactly. You can't.
It took me years to realize that's not fun.
Well, that's the one thing too. Is Shazam's gotten a lot of good reviews, but I haven't seen it yet, and I just can't get behind it.
Shazam is fun. It's fun.
Everybody said that. Everybody said that.
It's very well. Everybody in it is great.
I like Mark Strong.
It has one of those. Everybody stand up and cheer moments near the end that was likened to when Steve Rogers grabs Mjolnir and starts beating people with it, and everybody in the theater lost their mind, as they should, because that's great.
Well, I like the one line to him about Hitler. Oh, don't worry about Hitler. I've beaten him up 100 times.
Yeah, it's like put him out on stage every night. But I think even the bad MCU movies, in my opinion, are still better than some of the better recent DC movies, Wonder Woman accepted.
I would agree with that because DC is just...
Well, Aquaman.
DC has... But this is the thing. DC has the most iconic characters.
And they don't use them.
They don't use them. Well, the other thing, too, is stop trying to make gritty reboots with DC characters.
Right.
Marvel's the universe that's the thing. Marvel was a universe that was built like
more realism.
On the real world. Like, for example, every city in the DC universe is a made-up city. Every city in the Marvel universe is a real city, with a few exceptions of fantastical places, or based on real
Westchester, New York, where the X-Mansion is. That's a real place.
You can go to the address where Spider-Man lives in Queens. You can go to Bleecker Street, where the Sanctum Sanctorum is. All those places are real places.
Whereas DC, it's a
also
fake place based off a real place.
They also know how to work the comedy too. And in DC, they were like, we have these 4-color characters that they're trying to put in a gritty, realistic world. Don't.
No, you can't put an alien monster.
Aquaman did it right, in my opinion. It was just like, it's an under the sea spectacle.
I enjoyed the filming too, the way it looked, the way everything looked under the sea.
They were just like, we have to, like, because realistically speaking, if you were doing it, you wouldn't be able to see anything.
Yeah.
There would be no
But
light.
I like when he's confronting his brother and they have drunk.
Yeah. Yeah, and also
again, Nicole Kidman was
the best thing about that movie too is that Jason Momoa is not afraid of looking like an idiot.
Yeah.
Well, that's
he
the
is the dumbest guy, and he
at least has a good. He knows he doesn't need to take himself seriously.
No, and the fans come up to him. I think one kid he took a picture with a trident or something. Yeah. He's got a sense of humor about it.
The best one.
The guy didn't want his girlfriend to take a picture with him, so he just shoves him aside.
Yeah, he pie-faced the husband.
He's got to be in the picture too, because he won't let me be in a picture alone. That's
Somebody's
fine, but I'm going to pose him.
Somebody's got to go up to him. Call Drago.
That's the thing. So he pie-faced him. And then he signed his name over the husband.
And then I think he had one with a little kid. They saw him at a beach, so he did a trident or something.
Yeah.
He signed a trident.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. It's like, oh, I don't want to be this character. Hell with this. No, have fun
That's
with
the
it.
thing. He
These
is
are the kind of guys. He's an actor he's been around for a long time.
It's just we kind of forget about him.
Well, but he was never a big name. He was in a lot. He was in the latter Baywatch. Nobody watched that. He was in Stargate
the movie or
Atlantis.
the movie?
No, the TV show.
I was going to say,
He
I
was
watched
in-
the
he was
movie.
in-
I don't remember.
No, he
the
was
movie.
in the he was in the one of the last seasons of Baywatch when I think they moved to Hawaii or whatever.
that's unfortunate.
He was in there. He was on there. That was I think the first thing he did. He was on Stargate Atlantis with arguably the best character on that show in my opinion. Screw what's his face, the smart ass.
We'll get on them in one of our other discussions.
And then he was kind of a nobody, so he knows what it's like to be a hungry actor who's now got a lot of popularity but is still like in touch with being this guy who was struggling on genre shows and working out of Vancouver and
And the other thing with Black Panther too, I think Bostwick's really good.
I like them all. I mean, I like them all.
Well, okay, we have to talk about obviously Endgame.
Yeah, I mean the Infinity War Endgame
Haven't seen it.
films are phenomenal. They built a story over 21 movies, and they concluded it.
I made my
in a
head
very
hurt though
satisfying
because I
way.
made my head hurt. Goes okay. Cap goes back. He decides to stay and have a life, which I thought was cute, nice. But he comes back old. But if he was back and he wasn't here to go back, how did they? How many
The
roots did
Russos
the
have
wood
said
chuck?
that the Russos have said that he came back somewhere else. He came back somewhere else and then went over there because he should have come back in that time machine. Old
Wasn't
Yeah.
it Loki that did that?
No, he ran away.
I think Loki was responsible for that.
no Loki.
No,
Loki
just we can't explain.
oh,
it's
we
Loki's
can't explain
fault.
it. Yes,
Loki's
it's Loki's
fault.
fault. He's Kang the Conqueror. Haven't met him yet. Kang the Conqueror. That's another one. They could take a really good.
I think
really
they're going to
cool
go.
take on
I
him.
think he's the one I wrote a list of villains who would be big enough, and he was on my list.
Kang the Conqueror is a big one.
Doctor
Annihilus.
Doom, if they ever can do him right now.
that would be phenomenal.
I feel like they're going to, and I think the smartest thing you can do in introducing Doctor Doom is don't introduce him the same time you introduce the Fantastic Four.
I
It has to come after.
You know
the rest
my
of
and I
view
can
on
fix
that. My
that.
view, you
Don't
do a Fantastic
reintroduce the
Four.
Fantastic Four.
They're going to, but
They're
gonna,
going to, but it's not going to be good.
You do a
I
Fantastic
have-
Four movie, and then in the sequel, you have a throwback to Reed in college with Doom, and then you go forward from the second one, but not in the first one.
But to tell Doom's story, you have to tell Doom's story. You have to tell his story. You have to tell his story about who he was, where he came from, his being the displaced ruler of the city, his mother being taken by the devil, and because the coolest thing about Doctor Doom is at the heart of it. It's a great name.
I'm sorry, but Victor Von Doom is a great name.
You have characters that are masters of technology, and you have characters that are masters of magic, and he's a master of both. That's the thing about
And
Doctor
that's
Doom.
when
that
the
I love,
Mark Waid
is he
run-
has magic and technology, and he makes it work.
And one of the best storylines I read was when Mark Waid was writing Fantastic Four, and they did Unspeakable or whatever the name was, where Doctor Doom says, "I've changed. Yes, I'm going to go to magic now." And he becomes even more evil.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like because he was his gypsy blood and his whole thing with trying to get his mother back from hell, and the other thing is when he becomes the ruler of Latveria, the people love him.
Yeah,
He is a beloved ruler, and he treats his people well.
that's the ironic.
Did you ever
That's the
read
thing.
again the Wade storyline with the Fantastic Four? It's almost like our occupation of Iraq. That one there. But the thing about that too is, I just think one of the things I've always loved about his character too is one of those mysteries and things. They've never showed his face.
Yep.
Oh, they showed
said
later
hints of
on.
a
They
little,
showed his face
but
because he is when he became good. He became Iron Man basically, and they were always showing his face because he fixed it. But I don't know if that was.
Did he
I never really
take
read
over
it,
for
but-
Reed for a while? I
Yeah,
think.
he's
too.
become
for
a
a
good
cup of
guy.
coffee,
of
yeah.
Well, but he's an anti-hero too.
But I guess
Like,
Stan Lee said that at first they were going to make him. He was fine, but he just had like a little cut or something.
that was the story. Was just like he had gotten a tiny little scar on his
I think
face.
that would be hilarious. He goes under
He
this
had a
mask
tiny
and
little
he-
scar on
and
his
he
face.
has,
He's like,
acne.
I've been but the thing he takes the mask when it's still cooling
Yeah.
and shoves it on his face.
Right.
So he
will not wait.
So
He
it
will
bonds
not
to
wait.
his face.
Yeah, he's
And
just
then
like,
now
I
we
need
got
to come
Doom.
on my
It's a Doom bot. And then he takes on.
That was the other thing. It was when you kill Dr. Doom, he would always just be a robot.
There's also the one where they had the crossover with Evil Dead, where he was good at it too.
There's so many.
Or the
He's such
one
a great
even like with
character.
the Marvel Zombies, where he pops in the universe. Oh, this is going to be interesting when he sees them all running at him.
Noah Hawley was set to do before the merger was set to do a Doctor Doom film. He's the guy who does Legion, Fargo, and it would have been interesting to see. But being a huge nerd for the MCU, he must be in the MCU.
He's the big bad. He's like the big bad. He's like,
and but that's the other thing too. As far as power level go, he's not the most powerful guy, but he always is in a position like he got the Infinity Gauntlet one point. He got the powers of the Beyonder, and I think Secret Wars 2, right? You know, he's always in a place where he can get the thing.
Right.
And then he will lose it because he's a bad guy and he has to lose eventually. But, you know, the difference between him and Thanos is going to kill everyone.
Yeah.
But Dr. Doom is probably just going to actually make the world better in
and then
some
his
way.
mom back if
So
he could.
who's the
Get his
true?
mom
But the
back.
thing about him would be
really?
there's that story again from Mark Miller's run, Masters of Doom, where it turned out he apprenticed with these even worse people.
Yeah.
And they send him back in time, but he flummoxes them, and it's a real complicated thing about what this is. But he beats them.
Doom 2099.
I love the first issues of the. I thought the
Wait,
first.
you shot the Baxter Building into space like it was a different time. It was a different
I
time.
thought the first
Don't-
couple issues of that were fantastic.
Yeah.
The first four were fantastic.
Almost, and it sort of went downhill. But and you wondered if this was Doom or if it wasn't Doom.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing too, because you didn't really know, and he did. Or if he even know, he could have been a clone. He didn't know. He just woke up, and it was 100 years later, and he was like,
Seems right.
"This world is much worse than the place I was trying to enslave. Now I guess I'm a good guy." Just like because everyone is
Sort of
so
like you
much
pop
worse.
in now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd vote for Doctor Doom.
Why not at
why
this
not?
point?
Cthulhu
But
2020.
one thing I was going to ask, in
flush
terms
them all.
of characters we haven't seen yet, who do you want to see up on the screen?
Okay.
Anybody,
Accepting
anyone,
Doctor
anyone.
Doom. That's a good question.
Well, I want a Coyotes movie with us in cameo, but that's
That would be cool. That's the only thing that is some kind of tangential way of possibly being somewhat happening, and it's still very probably not. But we at least know someone. But in all seriousness, this is a question I should have read in the.
Well, it's one of those dumb
honestly, I'm so
questions that
focused. No, I'm so focused on Doctor Doom that But at the same, trying to think characters we haven't seen that I'd like to see.
you want to take it while he's
Yeah.
Mojo.
Mojo.
That is my answer to the world.
Mojo has had a mention, kind
Yeah,
of.
a mention, but with
Mojo World.
with CGI up there now,
Oh yeah,
he won't be. I'm sorry, to kind of butt in onto what will soon be part 2. No villain, Venom, should ever have their own movie. They cannot carry a movie. Venom, you
Venom
can't carry your
sucks.
movie. Venom,
Venom. I knew it was gonna suck.
you can't
And
carry a
people
movie.
wanted
That's
to go
the
see
thing
it
when
in
you have a
the
good
theater.
art, when you have a good actor, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
They had a great actor. It doesn't matter.
but Mojo as a
matter.
supporting villain in a small part of a movie with the CGI we have now,
Oh, yeah,
I would
absolutely.
love
I
to
can
see.
see for me, actually, if they do it
Mojo
right, it would have to be epic. Would be a Namor movie.
That would be cool.
That's there are rumors that Namor's
And
going
the
to be.
thing is, he's like Black Adam's DC version, but he's sort of the anti-hero. And if they
He
do
is
it
because
right.
he always shows up first as a villain.
But he helped us fight World War II.
Yeah.
Well,
He's basically a nationalist in a lot of ways.
Yes,
he's like
he's-
butt the fuck out of Atlantis.
He's the if Aquaman was not nice,
Yeah.
and not human.
right.
That's the thing, because the thing about Aquaman that makes him relatable is that he's half human, but Namor is
and
all
he's
Atlantean.
Roman spelled backwards.
Yeah, I know.
Ah,
No, when we met Joe Jusko,
Yeah,
he said that I never put it together. I don't know why, but I never put together that Namor was Roman.
And is he the
backwards.
first mutant too? They argue.
There's
that.
I argue that.
it depends. It also depends on what's a mutant, because
I would throw my vote for Mystique because nobody knows how old she is.
the reason this is how mutants are going to be brought into the MCU is through the Eternals.
Yeah.
They're doing an Eternals movie, and according to the lore, is that mutations came because of the Eternals' DNA in humanity.
Because I think Thanos is one of the deviants or something.
Yeah, so Thanos is one of the deviants. So that's how they can kind of backdoor bring them in.
They have to bring in Pip the Troll, too.
why the hell
But
not?
Cersei is going to be Angelina Jolie, so they got it.
Is she going to be sleeping with her brother?
Probably not.
Well, that kind
That's
of
a
just
different
shit on,
Cersei.
that kind of just shit on that movie for me.
I don't know.
That's a
She was
different
making
Cersei.
out with her brother at the Oscars
Well-
that one year. Maybe it's the name.
I think at that point in her career, she loved being talked about. I think it's a different story now. But look, man, her father is insane. She didn't have a chance.
Remember how much she denied it at first, and then she was like,
I don't
she
care if he
used
was
it.
I don't care if he was insane. He was good at Anaconda. So there.
This river can kill you 1,000 ways.
The wink.
God, that movie sucked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be
so
for the,
bad.
That'll be for the next episode. This has turned into a series now.
Well, we have
Talking shit about movies.
Yeah, there you go. Talking shit on movies.
Talking shit on
Episode
movies.
1 right now. And for episode 2, you'll hear my thoughts on Black Panther. I want to keep us on YouTube a little while longer.
You have a controversial take.
But I will say one thing in
not really.
terms of I've just been reading some
I hate it. You do.
Daredevil,
You have controversy.
and what I like to see is sometimes you can take a character that really sucks, and all you need is good writing. And the thing was, there's a storyline in Daredevil by Mark Waid with the Spot, who was a joke villain with Spider-Man back in Spectacular. When he pops out, I'm the Spot. Spider-Man starts laughing at him. Because he's the Spot, for goodness sake. But they actually use a storyline where they use him, and it's very, very good. So I like that challenge sometimes. You just take a character, say you don't like Hawkman, or you don't like somebody, wow, I'm going to try to do a good movie with
Let's
them.
take,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
take an arcade villain. You know, he had not much powers. He was kind of a little pipsqueak. Turn him into a movie villain. That could be entertaining.
Moon Knight, that's it.
Ooh.
That's the one. Moon Knight I'd like to see. I've not read a ton of Moon Knight,
As a
but he's an
psycho,
interesting
though, he's
character.
really like schizo, though, because he's got those moments when he's really...
Well, yeah, Moon Knight, because Moon Knight is Marvel's Batman. Very, very, very clearly.
Yeah.
But instead of being a billionaire industrialist, he's a mercenary.
the moon god, though.
But you introduced the whole Egyptian thing. But he's a cool character because he doesn't stride a line. You know, he's a vigilante. He's not a superhero. He's more of a vigilante. They were going to do a Netflix series at one point, but then Netflix flushed everything.
Yeah.
We'll get into the comic series soon because there's so many. But one thing, like, he actually
was all
he liked
business.
the first Ghost Rider film.
I did. I enjoyed Ghost Rider very much.
The first one,
Yes, I did.
I would say I have not seen the second one.
Don't.
Because
I liked
Ghost Rider.
aspects
I
of
like
it.
Ghost Rider as a character, and I'm a big fan of Nick Cage.
Do you like the Ghost Rider? Have you seen the Agents of Shield? What is the name?
They had Deathlock in it. I know.
Yeah,
that.
I
I've
tried
seen
it. I
that.
wasn't.
I like the muscle car. I thought that was cool. I think the muscle car. Is
And the other
cool.
one was I liked Constantine, even with Keanu, because I thought the movie itself was not bad.
I like that movie.
I like the guy who plays.
Oh, now you're getting me going.
Well, it's
Oh
all that
God,
thought
it
for
was an
the.
abortion on film.
Yeah, like Black Panther.
No, I see. Oh, we're gonna get into this. one. It's
Doesn't
gonna be
deserve
fun.
Oscar nominations. Didn't deserve it. No, bad.
I don't know. I don't think I can be on that one.
Yes, you can. We're on the internet, and I click that box that says explicit language. We can say whatever we want.
But,
Well, for as long as YouTube is around, which won't be much longer.
Constantine, the TV series.
Yeah, the guy was
short-lived
good.
TV series. Matt Ryan, who was
That was
still
good.
was playing. It was playing
playing
it
in
on
Legends of Tomorrow.
which I haven't. I the present deal that Netflix has with CW is when the minute the show's finale airs, they put them all up.
It's
I've
funny.
noticed that.
It's watching Arthur
I'm
Darvill.
watching-
Arthur Darvill's getting his Doctor Who fantasy
Yeah,
now playing
he's-
Rip
yeah,
Hunter.
Rip Hunter.
It's like, hey, it's
Great.
It's DC's Doctor Who, but I like it.
But I also love when that went by about season 3, I think, when they realized, oh wait, this show is silly. If we don't make, if
Dominic
we don't
Purcell,
lean,
too.
if we great, yeah. Writing romance novels. He's a very good romance novel writer.
And Captain
Nick
Cold's
Rory.
really good too. I like.
Well, they got
Leonard
they got
Stark.
Dominic Purcell and
I forget his name. That's why I
yes,
said
know.
Captain Cold.
the Prison Break guys together and made them the greatest scenery chewing bad guys trying to
sort
be
of
heroes.
good guys sometimes, sort
But
of
they
bad guys.
you had Leonard Snart, and then you had McRory, and they were just so.
You are going to invite me to your wedding, guys.
Yeah. And then because they were, it's just
I enjoy those, but that's for
Captain Cold. He's very gay.
It is what
That's
it
great.
is.
And they
It
finally
is.
they,
He's got
when
a
they
boy-
introduced because when they introduced the Earth X version of him,
Yeah.
they were just like, no,
With the
he's
wedding,
out.
with the wedding,
Yeah, he's
yeah.
just like, because come on.
I love it though. I
He's-
think
Because in all
He's
honesty,
a James Adomian villain. If you're
And
familiar with
all
his
honesty,
routine
who the hell
about the great
cares?
gay villains.
who the hell
well,
Well,
the
no, it's
people
just-
have no lives
well,
who sit and
people-
want to
yeah.
just protest everything.
Like the whole thing is like, oh well, Wonder Woman needs to be like, yes, Wonder Woman is bisexual. She grew up in an island of all women.
Of course she is. Like what? Yeah.
But my arguments, I've always loved destroying. Like, well, there's never been a black Wonder Woman. Yes, there has. Shut up, Philippus. She
Yeah.
kicked ass. She was a badass. Eat it.
Yep. You just don't know.
No, that's the thing. Like, oh well, she needs to be this. She already was.
But I
Well,
guess
they
I
need to
could
have this.
say,
I already did.
I guess I could say the thing from growing up with comics too. It's amazing how it came to this or these because I remember the good old movies with Reed Brown, Captain America.
I was gonna say-
Spider-Man or his
I was
little
gonna say,
string,
next time
or
we're going
the
to kick-
Captain, the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah.
Google
that is,
if you could ever see. You know,
I've never seen. I've seen bits of it online, but I've never
I
seen
was going
it.
to say next time we're going to kick off with the Italian Red Skull.
Oh Jesus.
That was a thing.
Yeah, I know. Matt Salinger, I think. Was
and
it
we'll
Matt
bitch
Salinger
more about
was the,
Fantastic
captain?
Four too because
Yeah, I
that's
have
one of
my
my
thoughts
pet
on
peeves
Fantastic
about
Four.
Fantastic Four, what they've done for it so far.
Damn you, Michael Chiklis.
It was,
You couldn't see the look, but it was.
But
you
a
could hear
Purple
it.
Crusader, I guess your good friend Patrick has a coming back to the stage.
yes.
Oh, yeah, plug our-
He's my very good friend. We hang out all the time, though for some reason nobody ever sees us together. I don't know why. It's just a matter. It's
coincidence.
just a coincidence.
No, it's
But
coincidence. Different
he is going to be in a production that that DVC is putting on at the end of July called the Heavy Entertainment Show. It is a original musical based on the music of Robbie Williams. And if you don't know who Robbie Williams is, look him up.
should.
He's one of the biggest stars in the world that you've never heard of.
I've heard of him.
I have to.
And he is an amazing pop superstar.
Because if you don't know who he is, you probably should.
Yeah, I probably should.
And we will promote this, of course.
whether you like the kind of music or not, if you really get into the guy, it's very smart.
All these shows are
Very,
good too, and we'll promote the heck out of this.
Yes.
If we could come down to
Links in the bottom.
even come
Links in the
down
bottom.
again,
Links in
rehearsal
description
sometime,
below.
an interview or whatever. I'll ask Patrick when I see him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
well,
yeah,
But also,
but-
I guess when Rob's here and
Rob-
Patrick's
when-
here, we're
yeah.
doing a D&D thing very soon.
Green Goat. When you
Yeah,
when you
we're gonna be
see
shooting
when
that
you
in a
see
couple
Rob,
weeks.
let him know that. Oh yeah, D&D.
Yes.
That's going to be a thing.
It's going to be coming. It's
It's gonna
coming.
be coming, guys, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Oh, you went there.
And on that,
Jakaris. So
yeah,
there.
and on that,
I can't
bye-bye,
help it.
YouTube
I'm not
listeners.
stalking Amelia Clark or anything. Leave me alone.
You lying.
Shows you how my life
Sure, you
is.
wouldn't be alone.
Eh,
No, I don't want to be part of that crowd. I got my
I don't know
own.
who she is.
Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah, I do. That's a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you seen the meme about I want to be into something the way this hipster sticks into an avocado with Daenerys Targaryen holding a dragon egg.
I missed that one.
Yeah.
Again, Game of Thrones, didn't care for it.
All right.
All right, so.
But yeah, so check out links in description below. Go see the show at the end of July. And guess what? Yeah, D&D. It's coming soon to an internet near you.
Yep. Yeah, thank you. Chris. We'll see if we can find Patrick.
Purple
and Rob.
Crusader, yeah, tell Patrick we said hello and we need to talk
I will
about
fly away.
and we need to talk logistics about things.
I will go eat grass because I'm a goat.
And I'm going to go home because I'm Zach. So, for the Purple Crusader, for the Green Goat, and for yours truly, thank you. We'll see you next time for more talking shit on movies. Bye-bye.